SBIRT, the brief negotiated interview, step by step. Screening, brief intervention, and referral to treatment, or SBIRT, is an intervention that can help raise awareness about risky drinking. After conducting a screening, the provider moves into a brief negotiated interview, or BNI for short. Informed by motivational interviewing, the BNI is a series of steps that helps with identifying clear plans for changing risky drinking behaviors. The following vignettes are illustrations of how to conduct the brief negotiated interview, step by step. Engaging through the spirit of motivational interviewing, establishing a strong partnership.
Hello, Ms. Baca. My name's Carlos.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm okay.
Good. Okay. Well, I'm one of the social workers that works here in the clinic, and I'm glad you made time to meet with me today. I know that you came in here a little while ago for the initial intake and filled out some paperwork for us to get things started. So I also know you came in to talk a little bit about how you've been feeling lately, and I want to make sure we get to that probably a little bit later in our discussion. But before we do that, I do want to take some time just to get to know you a little bit better. I find that it helps me kind of see what's going on in your life so that as we start working towards helping you feel better, I know a little bit more about what happens in your daily life. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Engaging through the spirit of motivational interviewing, establishing a strong partnership. Sometimes clinicians underestimate the importance of engagement. An intentional shift into the spirit of motivational interviewing, or MI, becomes crucial for good engagement until it becomes second nature. The spirit of MI embodies the qualities of respect, honoring of autonomy, and empathy. The goal is to promote a partnership with the client. There is no specific recipe for expressing the spirit of MI. But as in most relationships, people tend to engage when they experience warmth, being listened to, and treated with respect and compassion. The MI skill of reflection conveys empathy and lets the client know, I am doing my best to understand what you mean by what you are saying. Reflection is one of the best tools for promoting engagement and partnership. Raise the subject.
All right, well, I definitely want to talk about that, and I want to talk about how you've been feeling lately.
Okay.
Before we jump into that, I want to talk a little bit about some of the answers you gave to us on some of the alcohol questions last time. Would it be okay if we talked about that first?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Raise the subject. It's important to feel comfortable and confident raising the subject of substance use. If there is good engagement, it can lend confidence to the provider when raising the subject. Asking permission to talk about the drinking is a gesture of respect and communicates to the client that you honor their autonomy. It is always the client's choice to participate in the conversation. When the provider approaches the relationship with these elements of the spirit of motivational interviewing, it encourages and promotes a strong engagement. Explore pros and cons of alcohol use.
Are there any other things that you like about drinking wine?
Yeah, I mean, it's something to look forward to at the end of the day. And it can sort of help me slow my mind down, I think, a little bit, especially if it's kind of going really fast with, if I've had a bad day or if I'm getting kind of down on myself. Drinking can kind of help me get out of that.
Okay, so relaxing kind of quiets some of those negative thoughts maybe that are going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What about some of the not so good things that are going on when you drink?
Explore pros and cons of alcohol use. Talking about the pros and cons of alcohol creates the opportunity for the client to express ambivalence. This is important because there is strength in allowing for the expression of how the drinking benefits the client. The client sometimes connects with previously unrealized motivation through the course of these motivational conversations. The realization of motivation can help to resolve ambivalence. Ms. Baca is motivated to be more present with her daughters. In the Activating Motivation Through Skillful Responses to Change Talk step of our video, the provider explores her specific reasons for change to help activate her motivation. Provide feedback.
Okay. All right. Well, as you're describing kind of, those things that maybe aren't so great, I'm wondering if it wouldn't be okay if I shared with you a couple of things that we know about alcohol and its effect on people. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
All right. So I'd like to use this card here. One of the things that we know about alcohol is that people who drink more often on in larger amounts tend to have more of the negative consequences associated with alcohol use. And so, some of the examples you gave are actually right in line with that. Difficulties, holding up parental responsibilities, being there for their children, also the finances. Sometimes it does get expensive and costly. And those relationship issues where sometimes we say things we wouldn't want to someone who we're in a relationship with, or in your case with your ex-husband, maybe getting into those arguments that ideally you'd like to avoid, it sounds. The other thing that we know is that there are safe drinking limits. And so what I'll show you here on this card is for a healthy woman your age, the safe drinking limits are no more than 3 drinks of alcohol a day and no more than 7 drinks in a week, where 1 drink in your case would be about 5 ounces of wine. Okay. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm drinking a lot more than that.
Yeah, it's based on what we talked about earlier. It seems like you are kind of above those limits.
Yeah, a lot more.
Provide feedback. This is the time to offer feedback about the information from the screen. Asking permission to provide feedback before offering it is again consistent with good engagement practice. After the feedback is provided, be sure to ask the client his or her thoughts. ESPERT is an awareness-raising intervention. Sometimes clients are simply unaware of the safe limits of risky drinking. The brief intervention can be a valuable learning experience that increases awareness and can lead to changes with drinking behavior. Establishing readiness, activating motivation through skillful responses to change talk.
I think I need to make some changes.
You're at a point right now where you're wanting to be more present with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Okay. Well, let's talk about that a little bit more. And when you think about making a change, right, it seems like you've got strong motivation to make a change, being there for your girls. I want to talk in a little bit more detail about what that looks like. Okay. And so as you think about a change that you'd be willing to start or make today, what is one thing that you'd be willing to do to help this change?
Establishing readiness, activating motivation through skillful responses to change talk. Chances are very good that you'll be hearing change talk throughout the brief negotiated interview. Responding to the change talk that the client offers lies at the heart of the brief negotiated interview. Motivation is embedded within change talk, and skillful responses from the provider can help the client realize motivation that was previously unknown. Activating motivation and establishing readiness can go hand in hand. In our video, the Readiness Ruler assists our provider in establishing client readiness. Negotiate a plan.
Well, Ms. Baca, when you think about making a change, I want to talk about that a little bit further to see, what that looks like and dive into it a bit. I like to use this yellow ruler on the back of the card to kind of figure that out. So in this ruler, you see that it's called the Readiness Ruler, and it goes from 0 to 10. In this case, 0 means that you're not at all interested or ready to make a change with your wine drinking, and 10 means you're completely ready to make a change in drinking wine. So when you see that scale, where would you put yourself?
I think I'm about a 6 or a 7.
Okay, so right in here, 6 or 7.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me, Ms. Baca, how come you didn't choose a 2 or a 3?
I think my girls are the biggest reason.
Negotiate a plan. If the provider's response to change talk was skillful, the plan is sometimes easily realized. It can be a question of focusing on a specific behavioral goal. Here, Ms. Baca identifies a concrete behavioral plan to address a change behavior.